Okay, last film, I swear. I hope you've watched all of these. Um, I didn't see this movie in theaters because the director wrote the Pitch Perfect movies, and I did not like the first Pitch Perfect movie. I didn't watch the other two. But people told me I should watch this movie, so I finally was like, "It's in a year. It's on HBO. I'm gonna watch it." This is Kay Cannon's Blockers, and I didn't dislike it, but I didn't like it either, which is sort of what I figured, and I'm glad I didn't pay like $14 to see it. It has a charming cast. I enjoy Leslie Mann, especially because she has a high pitched voice, and as someone with a high pitched voice, I always enjoy other actresses, other women with high pitched voices, especially one who makes a living with her voice and doesn't isn't told that her voice is too high pitched. Like fuck everyone who's ever told me my voice is too high pitched. You're assholes. John Cena is very charming. I enjoyed Ike Barinholtz. Apparently, he's an actor I should have known, according to Film Twitter. I liked the girls. What were their names? Let's see. They had good like friend chemistry. Catherine Newton, Geraldine Viswanathan, and Gideon Adlin. She's Pamela Adlin's daughter. Um, that said, it's just another one of those sort of teen movies that is so far from my experience as a teenager, both um, in terms of the events, friend type things, and economically that I just it pulls me. I just don't care. Um, one, it's shot in Atlanta, so it has these ridiculous giant Atlantan houses that's supposed to be Illinois, and I'm like, having now been to the suburbs of Illinois, I can tell you those houses are way too big. We got big houses down here in Atlanta. Two, this goes from a prom. The prom is on a school day, which I did an informal Twitter poll, and apparently this happens a lot. My prom was always on a Saturday because you have to have the whole day to get ready for it. Like, what the fuck? You do not get your hair done in that many people can't get their hair done after school before prom. Prom starts at like 7. It's like 4 hours. That's not enough time. But apparently, who knows? Two, they go from the prom to a big old after party in someone's lake house, which I can believe a lake house in Illinois, that is hundreds of kids. How big is this lake house? How did they all get up there? Where did they park? Who has the money to pay for the alcohol for all of that for underage kids? How many people do they know that can buy them booze? What the fuck? Okay, and then they end up in a giant it's the Marriott actually. It's beautifully shot Marriott. The Marriott here in downtown. Um and that's the second after party, and like some rich family supposedly bought out an entire um floor of this hotel for these kids to have this illegal party, and it's like, would an entire hotel is this possible that an entire hotel would allow hundreds of underage kids to get drunk and have sex in their rooms? It just doesn't feel realistic. And I know that like not all movies need to be realistic or anything, but I at least you know something like Never Been Kissed. Most of the things that happen feel like they could probably happen. Like the one place where they're all getting drunk is like an abandoned um parking lot. Like I can believe the 6 kids around a fire in an abandoned parking lot, drinking 40s. I can believe that. The rest of this, I'm like, what? But maybe like rich suburban kids can do that. I don't know. I grew up in the country, man. We didn't have anything like that. We had like fires in the forest, not forest fires, just fires. Um, so that was hard to get over, like the improbability in my mind of just the mise en scène. Um, what I did like though was the way in which these three parents had been friends, but not really friends because they're only friends because their kids are friends, sort of worked their out the fact that they should actually be friends and that parents should have friends. And that was fun to sort of see them realize that actually they are friends and they should have been friends, the real friends this whole time. I thought that was good. There's a sequence where they sort of homage Jurassic Park, yes, that I thought was quite delightful. Um, so I liked that. But there was a section in the film that a lot of people I know just thought was great, and I did not like at all, which was the one of the characters, one of the girls is a lesbian and sort of coming to terms with that. And she's already sort of come to terms with it with herself, and her father already knows it, even though she hasn't come out to him. And it's her sort of trying heterosexuality like one last time to deal with it, to see it, like, is it really not for her, but also sort of interacting with her crush. But the way that is shot is so like they turn that girl into this like manic, I hate to use this phrase, but sort of a manic pixie dream girl lesbian, like a queer nerd dream thing. And it's shot with this like haze when she sees her, and it's the only aspect of the film that's shot that way, um, which I think is supposed to be sort of romantic, but to me it just othered, it like extra othered the characters in kind of a gross way, and I didn't like it. I did not like it. And they didn't actually get to sort of, if they crush on each other, like I want to see that built. Like spoilers, they end up having a kiss, and is it earned? I don't think so. Um, I don't know. I just felt like it was like, look, we're inclusive. We have lesbians, and it didn't. It just didn't feel earned to me, and it felt shoehorned. And it, the bit with the father was good. The coming out scene with the father, great. Um, but that whole aspect of the film just really didn't work for me. Um, and then the last sequence didn't make sense either, because they're letting the three girls drive off to UCLA together to drop one of the girls off, and then one of them's going to come back, and it's like, how many 18-year-olds die in car accidents? Like, that's the highest rate of people dying. Are people really sending their like 18-year-old daughters off to college by themselves? Like, I didn't buy that. He was inexplicably shot in a Chinese food restaurant, but it was supposed to be in the morning. But they tried to hide that it was a Chinese food restaurant, but like they panned up just enough for you to see the name. And like, why were they saying goodbye in a Chinese food restaurant? Like, there's a lot of aspects of this film that I didn't like. But I didn't hate it. There were moments that were fun. But then there were moments that veered into body humor that I don't care for, that could have been gone. Oh yeah, and there's a whole other aspect of, I don't know if this has always been this way, and I'm just too like too much of a goody two shoes or whatever. But I just hate films about casual drug use. I'm not against casual drug use. I am not against, like, I'm not saying like call the cops, but I just don't get that culture. And it's in so many movies of just people like baking Xanax into their cookies and stuff, and I'm just like, is everybody so miserable that they're just always doing drugs? How are they affording this? It's a rich person thing, right? Like, how are they? One kid's talking about how he buys all this drugs on the dark web and bakes it into everything, and I'm like, how do you have money to buy stuff on the dark web? You're 17. Ugh. So I didn't like that either. Never felt the need to do drugs, so I just can't connect to those kind of stories either. It's not even a judgment so much as a just like, is that really so like common? And if so, like, how did I never see any of it? And alcohol, I get. I've seen many people drink alcohol. Who has the money for casual drug use? Except for pot. I understand how people can afford pot. That, a lot of people grow their own pot. That makes sense to me. This is not pot. This is the rest of drugs that I don't understand who has the money for it. Not me. So this is Blockers by Kay Cannon. I liked it about as much as I thought I would, which means not that much. And checking it off the list because I had a lot of friends who liked it, and support the women. So this is Kay Cannon's Blockers. Can't say that I recommend it, but you might like it more than me because you might be a normal because on that, person who can relate to average kids. If these are actually average kids, I don't even know. I don't know what's real anymore. Sometimes I think I grew up in such a small, weird place that nothing, normal again, common ever happened to me, and so I can't relate to anything because of where I grew up. I don't know. This is Blockers. I'm gonna go watch like 7 movies now. Have a good end of the year. Adios.